All right, guys, we are live here. We got myself, Kevin Nguyen, got Anthony here as well. Anthony Tai, closed big ticket sales. It's been a while since we've done an episode. Been busy doing our stuff, but yeah, we're focused on getting back on the podcast train here. But yeah, a lot of things for us to talk about, and Anthony wants to kind of go over inconsistent follow up, just because I think that's a big problem that, especially if you sell a service or a product online, just following up. I mean, we all hear like following up is going to make you money, but there's some specific techniques and tactics that we want to go over. But Anthony, I mean, you've sold basically everything: agency, services, products, courses, all that stuff. But what comes to mind when it comes to problems that most people have with follow up?
I think the biggest problem people have with follow up is that they don't do enough of it. Definitely, I find a lot of people here, they talk about having a hot lead and just closing them on a one call sales call. I feel like a lot of people think that that's what sales is, and a lot of the time they give up when that situation doesn't happen. But little do they know that if that's all you're doing, or if all your sales are coming from the one call close, you're missing out on a ton of money.
Mm-hmm. And there's situations where like you can rely on fresh leads coming in, and there's a seasons for that. Like where uh, your ads are working. Leads are coming in, they're flowing. Your salespeople, they're calling those leads, they're closing them on that one call. But eventually, that stuff dries up, and you've probably heard of businesses where the leads dry up. And I remember you told me before as well, like the thing that you guys were doing at the agency, where if you didn't have any booked appointments, you would just follow up with leads that booked like months before, right?
Yeah, literally. That was like a little term we called back in the you're willing out a sale, you know. You can't just sit there and hope for sales calls all the time. Either you're booking new ones or you're calling your old guys. And what I found is that it's a lot easier to call somebody that you've done a demo with before or a sales call, reach out to them and, reignite that interest that they initially have. And, if the
Yep.
settings are right, whether it be you give them a discount, whether you give them some sort of
Mm-hmm.
promotional bonus, like an additional month of service, just something that'll make it that much easier to say yes to, you'll find that not everybody, but a lot of people will be interested in at least hearing more, which will lead to a sale in the end.
Yep. And you said something interesting there too. I mean, just repositioning the offer or repitching the offer. If you can give them a bonus, if you can give them a different pricing model, where if you sell something for 8K up front, you can take maybe a 2K deposit. A lot of people don't do that. They just, they give them one price, but they don't realize that if you give people another reason why, or a few different reasons why, they can kind of take that first step, you're definitely going to close more deals just from people who already know what you do. And it's a very quick sale in those cases usually, where because they already know you, like you, trust you. But sometimes some deals can be closed within like a few minutes after you just tell them a different pricing structure.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things that follow up is the best at. Normally, if you can contact somebody that you've spoken to in the past, offer them a discount, offer them a payment structure, that's usually a great recipe for success.
Yeah. And I think the secret with follow up as well that most people don't really realize is that uh, the leads that you're calling, they have their own lives too. I mean, their situation can be changing every day, every month. And
Yeah.
so the person that you talked to a month ago can be in a completely different situation next month. So just being on top of on top of their mind can result in a sale, right?
Yeah, for sure. Just as long as my rule of thumb is, now it may sound extreme to people that are new to sales. My rule of thumb is that I keep following up with people until they either buy or they just tell me like, hey, listen, I'm not interested. I'd
Yeah.
appreciate it if you just don't contact me anymore, which has happened. Rarely ever happens though, because people, if they're interested, they know that you can be of benefit to them one day. So it rarely does happen. Don't get scared of that. Don't get scared of getting yelled at. Most of the time, if people are just not interested when you follow up with them, they'll say, hey, like, let me call you back, or like, oh, I'm just busy now, and they'll hang up on you
Yep.
very quickly. don't take that to heart. Just keep following up with them. And eventually, you may be surprised that they actually do want to work with you because the timing is now right.
Yeah. And that's usually like the worst case scenario. They'll say like, please stop calling me. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, there's going to be some people who are going to get angry, but that usually is the symptom of something that's happened before, maybe. But whenever I follow up with my leads through email or text, in some cases, I usually get people saying like, "Thank you for following up." You know, they
Mhm.
actually appreciate you reaching out and sharing what you have to offer.
Yeah, absolutely. And most of the time, people do because if they haven't worked with you, there's a chance that this is something that they put on the back burner or maybe even have forgotten about, right?
Yep,
So
for
reminding them
sure.
also kind of reminds them about their own business or their own situation. And a lot of people are happy there. Big thing though is whatever happens, no matter good or bad, just keep it even keeled. Always be in a value giving mode. When you're following up, don't just ask them. Don't call them every time saying, "Hey, like the offer's still on the table. Do you want it?" Try to add some value. Tell them about a new development. Maybe tell them about a new client success that's happened since you guys last spoke. Anything that'll show them that hey, now is an even better time than before to partner up with us, and here's why.
Yep. So, some of the best weeks that we had in terms of revenue when we were working with clients was when we just dedicated like an hour to call old leads on a spreadsheet. So maybe you can get a little bit more into how to ignite that conversation with people over the phone, and I can go over some like texting and email secrets. But yeah, how do you normally kind of start that conversation back up and get into we can talk a little bit more about like the systems behind it after too.
Yeah, so you should have a system in place where you can either track people you've spoken to in the past, and or you can track, maybe documents you've sent out, contracts you've sent out, and as you're skimming through them, you'll see guys that where you're like, oh, actually that guy he seemed like he was really promising, but for some reason he didn't end up partnering up with me, or he didn't end up buying. And notice the language I'm using as well. I'm saying partnering up. Don't think of it as like, oh, they bought from me or I sold them. Even though you are, don't ever frame it like
Yeah.
that. Comb through your list and just see, who were guys that like almost partnered up with you, but for some reason something came up and it just didn't happen. Those are the guys you want to hit first, okay? So when you hit those guys up, a general rule of thumb or a general practice and say, hey, this is Anthony calling from close big ticket sales, for example. We were speaking a couple months back about a program to help you generate
Hmm.
more pre-qualified leads for your business and convert more deals. I was just wondering if that's something you still have an issue with. And then from there, I just kind of give them room to speak. And then based off what they say now, I can flow with it, and then I can just tell them about some recent client wins. I can tell them how many appointments we've booked for a certain company. I can tell them how profitable their campaign was. I can even offer to hop on another call to showcase these strategies and how profitable my client was. All of that, as you can see, is just of benefit to you if that's something you want to do for your business. And it really increases your chances of saying, you know what, can't hurt to hop on another call to see. And that's where you work your magic again.
Yeah, and you see the wording there is a lot more appealing than "Hey, it's Kevin. Are you interested now?" Like the more you can bring back up relevant information that maybe you spoke about before in the conversation, the more
Yeah.
relevant that message is going to be. So that's why we use Close CRM to kind of store all that data. And I'll be honest with you, like I never used a CRM to track leads like that before I actually met you and you introduced me to Close CRM. But what's kind of like the benefit of using a CRM than like a spreadsheet?
Oh, a CRM is just so great, especially closed CRM, non-affiliated, by the way. Um, so with the CRM like that, you can and not only can you keep track of call recordings, you can leave reminders for yourself.
Hmm.
Pretty much, you can see who was interested in your offers once upon a time. I mean, you can bring up a smart list, like people I've sent a contract to, people I've
Right.
done a demo with, people that didn't show up for a call. And these are all examples of people you can reach out to when you have nothing going on in your day. Talk to somebody and potentially bring in a sale.
Yep. And you said something interesting there. There's different types of leads that you can bucket. Somebody who, you know, saw your demo versus somebody who didn't show up to a phone call. It's going to be a different conversation when you follow up with them.
Absolutely, absolutely. The more you've shown someone, the more familiar you can be with them. If they've missed a sales call, you want to reignite their interest to hop on a call. You don't want to go for a straight sale. There's many procedures in the actual sales process to go through. But what I'm speaking mostly about are people that you've done a sales call with, but for some reason they haven't crossed the line yet. And your goal is to reach out to them, reignite their interest, get them on another call. If you can't get them to partner up with you right then and there, try to get them on another call where you can show them more stuff. Because I guarantee you, somebody who's willing to hop on another call, they're a lot more ready to buy than somebody who just wants you to send them an email.
Yeah, and whether it's a call or text or email, usually it's listening to something, whatever it is that's holding them back. Because if they're kind of on the fence, yes, money could be holding them back, but usually it's something else that's holding them back. And doing that kind of follow up and asking them, hey, are you still interested in getting leads or whatever outcome it is that they want? Usually
Mm,
they'll kind of start opening up what's holding them back. Just like that campaign that we did recently, where I just texted a whole bunch of leads that went through a demo call, but they didn't close, and it
mm,
was probably one of the easiest sales that we did for 9K. It was just sending them text message, hey, are you still looking to? This is an offer for parents trying to get their kids into one of the top 5 schools in college, and so we asked them, hey, are you still interested in getting your child in one of the top 5 choices? And so they gave an objection. I forget what it was exactly, but it was a simple, frequently asked question that you can answer. And sometimes on those sales calls, they don't really have those questions in mind that they'll ask, but it's something that comes afterwards. So that's why there's the beauty of following up there. Like those questions that come up later on, you can address them, and that just kind of makes the sale, gets you that sale.
100%. And yeah, I remember that campaign. We were able to bring in, I believe it was like an extra 20, $25,000
Yep.
dollars just from doing follow up on his
Yep.
list. And mind you, this was on top of the appointments we were already booking for him. So yeah,
Yep.
he was very ecstatic there. I remember that. That was Tony.
Yeah, yeah, that was a good one there. It was we weren't really doing anything, so we just had like like 30 minutes to just kill, and so we ran through the list, texted them, and with Close CRM it makes it really easy. You can just send a broadcast, so it looks very short and personal, and then the people that did text back, we just gave them a call and we closed a good few sales there just from a few follow up taps.
You know, the funny thing is, I remember a couple of people there. They actually told Tony that they were sold and they were going to pay, but they just never got around to it. And for some reason, I think he got too busy or like he didn't have the process
Yeah.
in place. He just kind of forgot about them. And a couple of them were just like, hey, like, oh yeah, like thanks for reaching out. I was actually just about to process the payment, but I just kind of like forgot about it. By the way, I just have like one last question before I do it. Boom, you answer that question, and before you know it, Tony messages us in the Slack channel. Hey, another payment came
Yeah.
through. Like, what was that from?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we just called him.
Yeah. That usually is the case. I mean, you want to just be in front of them whenever you can, right? And um, just like what you said, people are usually just too busy to follow up.
Yeah,
They're looking for new leads, uh, but they don't realize that just sending a follow up message, text, call. I saw a stat somewhere and they said that like after they calculated all the sales that they got, this is more in the high ticket space, anything that's above 5K, they found that about 30% of the sales that they actually closed were from follow up sales. So this is not just us saying this is just based on stats.
mm,
30% of the sales that you get are going to be from following up with the lead.
yeah. And in my personal experience here, because I also run an agency, and we have this year I'm there tracking everyone we've closed, close rates, and things like that. Over 60% of our deals take more than one call. So
There you
40%
go.
or less of calls of sale, total sales come from one call. So be ready to follow up. This doesn't mean to not ever go for the one call close. If you see someone's ready, go for it. But if you can see that they need time to think, don't think that that's just an excuse to get you off the call or they're lying to you. Give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they do need time to think. Maybe they do need more time, information. Maybe they have to talk to whoever they need to talk to do it, and be willing to
Yep.
be there with them every step of the way until they are ready to make that decision.
Yep, and that's something that we can definitely get into the two call close. And it was just after seeing you do that, I realized how effective that is. But that's something we can go over next time. I think that's a wrap here for this episode, though.
Yeah, sounds great.
All right, peace.
Peace over now.